What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the VSO Gun Channel. It's great to be here as always. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to be covering some gun industry drama. Normally when we're talking about drama, it's like government overreach and, stuff like that, people infringing on people's rights. Today we just have some raw gun industry folk versus gun industry folk stuff. And I think that you guys will find this one fun because this involves the organization formerly known as Big Daddy Unlimited. I say formerly because as far as I can tell, they are done, which is a positive thing for our industry as a whole. So if you are unfamiliar with Big Daddy Unlimited, it is an organization that was built around an online retail store, and they approached many content creators years ago. I got out of Big Daddy Unlimited a long time ago because it did not feel good to me, and it wasn't great. I got out before they started doing anything really stupid, like, sponsoring gun buybacks and things like that, like absolute pariah level things that you do not do when you work in the gun industry or want to appear as though you want to work in the gun industry, which is personally what my opinion is on that. As far as I can tell, they are absolutely out of the game as far as if you go to their pages, they don't work. Their Google profile says permanently closed, but that's not the real news here. And we're going to cover the real news as it relates to Big Daddy Unlimited after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. They are my go-to stop for anything medical related. It doesn't matter whether you need bumps and bruises kit or whether you need real equipment like chest seals or a cat tourniquet or something like that. They have got a bunch of medical kits over there. Again, they are my go-to shop, and they are great people. I've known Dietrich and the crew over there for going on like 10 years now. So they are definitely a place that you should check out if you're looking to augment your medical equipment needs. And they have a discount code for all of you who are VSO subscribers. You can find that information over on the affiliates page. And special thanks to Medical Gear Outfitters for making today's video possible. As I mentioned in the intro, Big Daddy Unlimited has been caught doing some pretty shady crap over the years. My phone, not yours. That was Medical Gear Outfitters saying that they would love to sponsor today's video. That's hilarious. I forget where I was. Can you guess what Dietrich thinks about Big Daddy Unlimited? The one that most people, that sticks in their mind is the gun buybacks thing. But I had several friends that worked there who have now moved on to other companies. Thank God that most of them got out before it really went down the tubes. That said it was the worst place that they've ever worked, for instance. But then on top of it, there was like the weird thing with like suddenly supporting Rittenhouse when he was exonerated and, all that sort of stuff. It really, really slimy stuff. And I went to a couple of their events, and it really just became about how awesome the organization was. It was like a big propo piece. It was really, really weird. However, in addition to the just kind of slime ball sort of like predatory business model stuff, it turns out that they weren't actually paying for the materials that they were selling on their website. So about a year ago, they were raided, and it was the type of raid that the cops do for the purposes of like grabbing property and securing it on behalf of someone. So it wasn't like a federal agency raid for like, hey, like ATF's coming to see if you made unlicensed machine guns, all that sort of stuff. It was more like, hey, we haven't been paid for the product that we delivered to such and such. And oftentimes companies will run, especially if they're doing like high volume stuff, they'll do like a net 30 or net 60 where the stuff shows up, and then you pay the invoice within 30, 60, or 90 days type stuff. Well, I had heard reports of this happening on more than one occasion, and basically they got raided to secure that property. And that was kind of like the red flag that really started the decline of BDU as far as like their ability to maintain stock in their warehouse and stuff like that, because nobody would sell anything to them. And this is being reported from people who were working inside at the time. This may not seem real to many of you, but there is an embarrassing percentage of companies in the gun industry that just straight up don't pay their bills. Like, they just will have you do something for them, and then they'll just lose your number, or they won't return your contact or anything like that. And they just live on kind of like this predatory business practice of getting people to do work for them and then just never actually paying their bills. I don't know if you live in the same world that I do, but like, do you just not pay your power bill at the end of the month? Right? Like, that's just not how I was raised. And that's not how I conduct myself as an adult either. But apparently this is something that has pervaded the gun industry, because it is very, very common for this to happen. Now, there's a whole side thing that we could have as far as a discussion is concerned about that in a completely different video that would take me like 20 minutes to lay out. I considered doing that for today's video, but I don't really think that that's applicable here. There's another name that you guys might be familiar with, and that is the Leviathan Group. Now, the Leviathan Group gets a bad rap from a lot of people. The long and the short of it is the Leviathan Group works with a lot of content creators to ensure that they actually get compensated for the work that they do for companies, ensuring that the people who are out there actually doing the work are getting paid, that the contracts are written properly, and that they're actually getting compensated for the work that they're doing. And as you can imagine, if there's again, embarrassing percentage of companies that are willing to stiff their contractors, then over time, it makes a lot of people pissed off that they actually had to be held to the fire to pay the bills that they agreed were part of a work agreement. So part of the ill will that has been fostered for the Leviathan Group online, that some of you may have read in various places, are perpetuated by people who don't pay the fucking bills. And I might add that oftentimes Leviathan would pay us in advance and just expect to be reimbursed on the backside. So like if there's a time-sensitive project, they would, send the disbursement, here, book it, go do it, right? And then expect to be reimbursed down the line. Oftentimes to their financial peril, because I know in my case, on more than one occasion, the client defaulted on that bill, even though we had done the work. So I'm not... Personally, this has happened more than once to me. Probably like 5 or 6 times happened to me. That said, BDU just so happened to be such a client. I greatly appreciate Leviathan's word on saying, hey, we booked this project. We are going to pay you, regardless of the fact that sometimes we dig up clients that aren't the best ones, because there are so many bad ones in the gun industry. BDU left them for like $300,000 worth of unpaid liabilities. So the Leviathan Group took them to court and sued them for like 500 and some K. So 300 and some plus the interest payments and all that sort of stuff. And a couple days ago, they were granted a default judgment. Now, what that means, it seems to me like the McKnights and Big Daddy Unlimited are out of money and they've just dropped off the face of the earth, because generally speaking, you get a default judgment because the defendant hasn't responded to the court proceedings. Any contact from the court they have not responded to. So basically the judge says, well, they didn't say anything. They didn't show up to defend themselves. They must not care to fight you. And so you win. Do I think that Leviathan will ever see that money whatsoever? No, I don't think that they probably will, because I think that those people have probably moved to a different country. The reason that I bring this drama to you today. There are some fantastic people that work in the gun industry. They're just really great. But for every one awesome person, there are 10 absolute shitbirds that we do not need around, that absolutely drag down the rest of us. And the proof is in the pudding. These people, not just the owners, but the leadership team that was involved with Big Daddy Unlimited, should never work in the gun industry ever again. If you see their names pop up, and I didn't, there's a bunch of details I just deleted, so I didn't have to name anybody else's names. If you're one of my buddies, you know exactly who I'm talking about. We should never accept that they work here ever again, because, again, they're a liability for long-term stability of what it is that we do, and thus long-term stability of the Second Amendment movement as a whole for future generations. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Sound off in the comment section down below. I want to know what you guys think about this kind of like industry infighting thing. I think it's one of those like train wrecks that you just can't look away from. I thoroughly enjoy it. But anyway, I'll see you on another video here at the VSO Gun Channel here pretty soon.